Regarding Quran, the current method, I don't know how it is here, but a lot of madaris, what we have is we have Quran translation, then you have Quran tafsir. Or what tends to happen, I mean, I'm speaking from my limited experience, is that we start off, some people do from the last 10 first, do from Hujurat till the end, some people do. But what happens is a lot of overlap. So you see, for example, like when you do Quran translation, Tafsir Baqarah, and you probably get like 4 or 5 paras, and then you just rush it, finish it off 15 juz or 10 juz. And then you start Jalalain, and the same thing happens again. You start Baqarah, Surah Baqarah, you do about 2 or 3 juz, and then end of the year, you just repeat, and then the rest of the book, the Quran, is just left untouched. And it's kind of like, I don't know if it's embarrassing, it's probably embarrassing. Like somebody asks you, like, you're an alim, you're supposed to be a scholar, you said the whole Quran, and they ask you what's mudhammatan, how do you translate that? And you can't. Somebody asks you a tafsir of some ayat, so how can we graduate as ulama and not know the whole Quran? At least basic, like every single, so it's a lot of overlap. So we have, for example, it's a repetition of the same surah or repeated over and over again. So, and then another issue is we have Quran translation, and we have Jalalain. And I think, okay, Jalalain is a very good book and there's nothing wrong with it. But it leaves a lot wanting, because there's scenarios where Jalalain doesn't have everything, it's very, very basic tafsir. So then, let's say, for example, there's an issue with the Arab of the Quran, you don't know how to figure out. Now the student hasn't been exposed, so where does he look? Where would he find the answer? There's a fiqh issue. Which tafsir will have the fiqh? There is a hadith issue, like regarding a contradiction within the hadith on that tafsir. So there's so many, but because we're only exposed to one tafsir, I think that kind of, so you can't study every tafsir, there's too many to study. But when you only have one and not exposed to them, like for example, like personally, like when I graduated, like what is, like you have a question, but which tafsir will give you the answer? What is Tabari about? So for example, one issue is like, for example, the satanic verses, Gharaniq al-Ula, that's in Tabari. But if you don't know Tabari's manhaj, you're going to get shocked straight away. If you know Imam Tabari rahimahullah, his job was just an encyclopedia. Just collect everything and put it inside. So he said, yeah, it's in there. And he goes everything in there because his job was just to collect everything. So you know his manhaj. If you know Ibn Kathir's manhaj, you know how to use it in Ibn Kathir. So I think that's quite an issue where we don't expose ourselves enough to ourselves or the students to the tafasir. So my suggestion, and this is what I've tried doing in madrasa, initial stages, is that instead of just having Quran translation session or Quran tafsir session, if we just say, well, we teach the Quran. So let's say, for example, like a normal, so we have Quran translation maybe for 2 periods. There'll be so much Harum usually the 3rd and 4th year. Then you have Jalalain 2 periods. But instead of splitting it 15-15 or 10-10-10 and then 15-15 again, so you do Quran translation in 10 ajza 3 times, and then you do Jalalain again. Why not say, well, we're going to have 5 periods of tafsir, of Quran, and then some of them will be tafsir. So instead of having to split it over the Jalalain or the tafsir over like 15 juz for each teacher, which is very difficult, why not have a system where we can have maybe the first 3, the Quran translation, we cover certain surah, and the tafsir cover different surah. So at least the whole Quran, or if not more of it, is covered properly. I know some of us have this thing, well, if you do the whole Jalalain, is barakah, but you want barakah, just do tilawah in the class. Okay. So what my suggestion is, or what I've tried implementing in madrasa, it's worked quite well so far, is that you cover small portions of different tafasir. So you have a Quran translation section. So so for example, this is what we've done so far. So we were starting from the last 15. So we said Surah Kahf, this Quran translation. Okay. Now in this, we can take time out to translate. So we don't have to. It's not a fixed amount. So in translation, how to translate. So actually take out time to spend time on how to translate. We look at the various translations. So a student should know, well, we have Muftaki Usman's got translation, Dr. Abdul Majid Daryabadi's got translation, there's a Sayyid National, Dr. Muslim's got translation. What are the translations? Pickett Hall translation, when was it translated, how was it translated, which year was it translated in, what are the modern translations, which translations are good, which have lots of pros, which have a few cons. So they also have experience in the field. So it's not that the teacher comes in and just, here, this is a translation. Actually, well, try to get them to translate, get them to be aware of these translations. Then I would, instead of just, to me, if instead of just teaching them or giving them the translation, if you actually say, okay, let's translate together. How have you got it? There's a website called islamawakened.com. Now in here, it's got all the translations of like 20 translations maybe. And in each translation, you can actually get the verse. So when you put Surah Baqarah, verse number 1, it has all the translations of that verse. So obviously you don't have every single verse, but where it is a difficult translation, or then you can probably say, well, how each person has translated a difficult word, the easy stuff. But you can also introduce into various dictionaries. For example, there's the Mufradat of Afad al-Quran, Raghib Asfahani, his. Then there's also, there's another dictionary, I think it's called the Braille Dictionary. Yeah, that's in Arabic, that's in Urdu, isn't it? Yeah. There's one called the Braille Dictionary. It was available in a PDF, but I think it had copyright issues, so take it down. It was on this website called Ijjal. You aware of that one? Ijtan or Ijtan, I'm not sure. You have a lot, but so that on that website, a lot of dictionaries, that was available on there before. It's no longer available. If you can probably find a PDF, it's got all the Quranic words and different English translations. That's quite useful. It's called the Braille, I think Braille Dictionary of Quranic Words, something like that. So that's what I'm saying. So when you do Quran translation, my opinion is that instead of just trying to say, well, if you have the older students that you guys are talking about, a 2-year course or whatever, maybe then you just translate for them, they understand it, fine. If you want to create scholars who can then become independent later on, then it's important that not only you just give them a translation, but you actually teach them, well, this is how I got the translation. Even though it'll take longer, so you may not cover a lot more, but you create the ability within them. And that's what we say about our syllabus, is that it's not covering all of the material, it's more of giving them the tools. So if you introduce them to, if Surah Kahf takes a long time, but they're able to figure out how to translate, the tafasir that are available, the translations that are available there, it will benefit them a lot more. And it will create more ability within them. That's my opinion in regard to Quran translation. So that's what we done. We done Surah Kahf, translate it. After that was finished, then we said, well, Surah Maryam, let's study Surah Maryam from so you've already now learned how to translate. So I'm not going to go into the depth in translation. I'm going to translate as we go along in Surah Maryam. But Surah Maryam now, what we're going to do, we're going to focus on the tarkib and the i'rab. Because obviously, Surah Maryam is a bit difficult in terms of the sarf, in terms of it's got more difficult words, Surah Maryam, Surah Taha. So then, another approach of studying the nahwa and that kind of aspect. So then here, at this stage, we introduce them to the tafasir, or those books of i'rab al-Quran, which discuss the i'rab of the Quran. So when they're stuck in any tarkib, any i'rab, they know, well, these books have i'rab and how they're structured, how they're laid out. So anytime they're stuck in any other surah, they've already studied under teacher's guidance how to solve this. So you do the same Quran translation as before, because they've learned that in Surah Kahf, the first surah. And then another surah, for example, there's one very famous book, a new book, Al-Jadwal fi I'rab al-Quran, that has a lot of detail inside of it. There's another one called I'rab al-Quran wa Bayanu Ma'anihi, something like that. This is all on that website, Al-Bahith al-Qurani. I'm sure you're all aware of that. It's called Al-Bahith al-Qurani, or Furqan.co. So if you search Furqan.co, all the tafasir are available there. So you don't have to buy all of these books, all available. It's Islam Awakened. This is a very useful website. In here, if you go to, example, you go Islam Awakened. Now let's say, for example, you go to Surah Nisa, Surah number 1. You click Surah number 1. Right. And then now here, you have 1, 2, I'll count it. What happened here? Yeah, so then here now, you go through, you have loads of translations here available. So you don't need to go through everyone for every single thing, but where there's a difficult word, you say, well, I can't get the translation fit, or it's not a literal translation. So, what your vocabulary is. Yes, exactly. And even here he's got something, I don't know who's decided it's controversial, but he's also got something here. So it creates a bit of awareness. So then, once you've done this once in one surah, then the students know, okay, yeah, I know which surah, and they might find, I like Jabadi's translation, I like Mufti Kisab's translation, I like Dr. Mohsin's translation, and they're actually aware of the translation available there. So that's why. The other now, regarding tafsir, is a website called Furqan.co. This is a must. If you don't have this, you'll be deprived of a lot. To actually do translation. Then go on to another step. How to do i'rab of the Quran, and teach them how these books are used. So then, when they get stuck anywhere, they can then solve this. Instead, as opposed to you giving them all the answers. Okay, so these are two that I like. The i'rab al-Quran of the Jalbul fi i'rab al-Quran is very simple. Certain places where he's not clear, then Arab Quran Darwish, that has some more stuff in it as well. So it's all on this website. Okay. And then again, you have to follow this particular order, but this is what we are doing, and we've kind of used. So then after that, we went into, so well, let's start Surah Taha. And we use understand the text. We use Jalalain in there. Tafsir Jalalain. So we did do Jalalain because it has a benefit. It's very short, it's very concise, and it's very easy. So then we taught them Jalalain. So understand how he works, how he operates, what his methodology is. And then after, what we done is that towards the end, instead of the teacher teaching all the time, we said, well, the last ruku is your job. So we taught them how to use Jalalain from all of the Jalalain, of all of Surah Taha, except the last ruku. The last ruku, that's your job. You solve it, and you present it to us. So we know now these students have the ability to actually solve the text. So then, if they can solve one ruku of Jalalain, we know that they've understood it. As opposed to us keep on going over and over, we keep on telling them everything. Because, that's a famous saying in Chinese, give me fish, I'll eat for a day. Teach me to fish, I'll eat for life. So, if you just teach them the whole thing every single time, it's like, you got to do everything. So, that's what we done with them. So look, we teach you all of it, and the last ruku, that's your job. And then after that, you can pick another tafsir after that. But start from the short, brief ones. So then we went to surah, because obviously now these tafsirs are a bit longer. So if you're going to teach a long surah, it's going to take quite a bit of time. So Surah Hujurat is not too long. So Surah Hujurat, we then Tafsir Nasafi. Same thing again. How his approach is. You familiarize yourself with his methodology, his structure. What he goes into. Does he go into vocabulary? Does he go into tarkib? Does he go into the hadith a lot? Does he go into a lot of fiqh? So you understand. And if you do a bit, and again, for example, to Surah Qurtubi, you can't do a whole surah. A long surah is too big. But if you just familiarize the students with many tafasir, I just think you would do a lot more benefit and create ability within them to appreciate the Quran, as opposed to just sticking to one tafsir and the teacher just gives them information and they go home. Khalas. Because they're open, so they know, okay, well, this is what Tabari is about. If I got hadith ishkal, it'll be in Tabari ibn Kathir. They're hadith oriented. If I got fiqh ishkal, Qurtubi will mention, and he's a Maliki scholar, so he has the Maliki opinion in there. There's Ahkam al-Quran Jassas. So you familiarize yourself with all the main books of the science. That will give the students, you would teach them how to do tafsir themselves, as opposed to just feeding them, this is the tafsir. It doesn't have to be this structure. This is a suggestion. So what I'm saying is, let's teach them translation first. So whichever surah you want to use, whichever places you use those. Yeah. So you use translation. So you teach them translation, but don't just teach, this is the translation. Teach them how you got the translation, how it was done. Yeah, something very difficult, which is, that it's difficult now, you can point those out. But now, less emphasis should be given on translation, or maybe not one surah, maybe 4 surah they need for Quran translation. And you do Quran translation until you think they have the ability now to translate themselves.
As you're teaching the tools.
Yes. As opposed to translating for them. You don't even have to take on this idea. It might not be a good idea. I'm trying it, and it's working for me, and I think it's quite useful. But you have to then discuss. So what my suggestion is, teach them translation till they become familiar with translation. Maybe the older students, you do translation with them only because they're not able to do all of this stuff. Those who are young and able, teach them translation, how to translate, make them able in the field. After that, then we go into a short tafsir, which is the shortest of probably Jalalain. Or you can even introduce them to something short. Then after that they have Baydawi, Nasafi. They're quite short. They're not too detailed. And then pick a system where you can gradually develop them to understand all the tafasir and introduce them to many of them. Some are very long, so you can't do a whole surah of Qurtubi. Qurtubi is too long. He's very detailed. But if we do like maybe one common verse, or one surah Nas, or surah Falaq, or Tabbat, you say, well, all right, he does lots of detail. So you just familiarize them. You have to then decide from where, when, which is best. Are the students able or not? But the 2 points I'm trying to mention here is, number one is, as opposed to just telling them, teach them how to do it. The second point is, Tafsir Jalalain is a very good tafsir. I'm not got a problem with that. But what I'm saying is that don't limit it to one tafsir. Expose them to tafsir. So the students then are able to find it. They're aware, they know. It's not just our job to just teach them, oh, this is Tafsir Jalalain, and I do lots of mutala and I teach you, and now you learn it. I think it's more important to teach them how to do tafsir. How to do mutala, where to find the answers.